Hey guys, it's Avi123, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be talking about my expectations or desires for the next Call of Duty. Let's get right into it and talk about some of the more recent things that have come up in the Call of Duty community, such as the setting of the next game. Now, it's been leaked recently that the next Call of Duty might be set in space. I won't get into the major details of this leak, but I just want to touch on setting very slightly, and just to say that I really don't mind what the next Call of Duty, or where the next Call of Duty, or when the next Call of Duty is set in. To me, the story that they build around the setting is much more important. That being said, I feel that the Call of Duty developers have a much harder time developing a more interesting story when the game is set into the future. A great example of an amazing story in Call of Duty is definitely Black Ops 1. Now, in my opinion, this is where the story mode in Call of Duty peaked. After that point, the story started to slowly fall off, and in Black Ops 3 they brought it back a little bit. It was interesting enough to keep me playing through the missions, but in previous years, past Black Ops 1, I am not interested in the story mode of those games past Black Ops 1, but Black Ops 3, I will admit, had a pretty decent story. Part of the reason why Black Ops 1's story was so great is that the setting was just perfect for what they were trying to convey within the story. Taking that all into consideration, like I said before, I really don't mind what the setting is. I just want the story to be great that they set around the setting. Oh, and as a small side note, I just really want them to keep the 4-player co-op for the story because that was a lot of fun to play through with my friends, and it made the story a lot more enjoyable to play through. That's all I really have to say specifically about the campaign, but there's a lot more to say about the other two modes in the next Call of Duty. Before we start talking about the multiplayer, I quickly want to go over the co-op mode that might be in the next Call of Duty. Now, if Extinction is to come back in the next Call of Duty, I will be really excited, but purely from a gameplay perspective. The plot in Extinction was just pure awful. It was horrible. I was not interested in it at all, but the gameplay, in my opinion, was very fun. The teamwork and level progression that went into some of those levels was very enjoyable, but the plot was just not there. It was non-existent. None of the characters in Extinction were really memorable, and the cryptids themselves weren't really too interesting either. Perhaps what the developers could do is just delete that story, keep the gameplay elements that they had in Extinction, but just completely delete the story and do a rerun of a similar game mode. Also, in a gameplay perspective, I really want to see the next co-op mode take a page out of Treyarch's book and add some more replay value to it like they did in Black Ops 3 Zombies. Now, in my opinion, adding a simple level system is perfect, and Treyarch went above and beyond and added Liquid Divinium, which is unfortunate that you could purchase it for COD points, but I think the Gobblegum system is also great because it adds more replay value, and the fact that you can progress your weapons, get attachments and camos for them was also amazing. If the next co-op mode in Call of Duty could add in some kind of replay value similar to that of Black Ops 3 Zombies, that would be amazing and I would be very satisfied with that. But most important, the gameplay has to be there and the plot has to be there for it to be a really good co-op mode. Now that I'm done rambling about the co-op mode in the next Call of Duty, I really want to get onto the multiplayer, where I'm going to be making more points than both the campaign and the co-op combined, and I really want to touch on some of the big issues that multiplayer has. Now, I really want to rant quickly about the netcode in Call of Duty in recent years. It's just horrendous. If you're unaware of this, Call of Duty in recent years has had netcode issues built into the engine of the game that creates a delay between players. Even if you're playing on LAN, even if you're playing on split screen, there's still a delay between players, and I honestly believe that this ruins Call of Duty for a lot of people. The mass amount of unpredictable gunfights in Call of Duty is absurd at this point. I know for myself, I get very frustrated when I'm just killed by someone that I didn't even see on my screen. It's just so frustrating to see that happen constantly in a fucking amazing game such as Black Ops 3 that is just so much fun to play, and this game in some respect is ruined by this. Another pestering issue in this past Call of Duty has been the invite/matchmaking system. It's just bad. Now, I really don't know why this happens, but if you play Black Ops 3 for more than an hour and a half, then your game will just stop sending invites. Like, you will just not be able to invite anybody, and for a game that is so much fun to play with friends, it's frustrating to have to back out of the game and restart it just so you can get into a lobby with your friends. Now, moving on, I think it'd be great if we had a little bit more customization with our characters in the multiplayer. Now, we do have a decent amount of customization with the head and body, all the taunts, and your showcase weapon, but I think it'd be a little bit more interesting if we just had a couple more pieces of armor we could wear and customize. Like if you could customize the torso section and the legs, and maybe the shoes and the helmet, it would just be a little bit more interesting to see all the different characters at the end of the match and being able to show off your specialist to all the other players in the lobby. Now, progressing through the list of improvements that I think Call of Duty could make, I think they should really improve on the maps a little bit more. Now, I think Black Ops 2 had amazing maps, but Ghosts just had terrible maps. I feel like they've never been able to keep it consistent between years, and Ghosts their maps just had no flow, they had no sort of order, and there were no power positions or choke points that were really just fun to hold down, and I feel like that really ruins it for a multiplayer. And in Black Ops 3, the maps are decent, but they could definitely do better. Now, the next Call of Duty, I really hope that they keep the gore and they add more. I just love the fact that when I shoot someone with a shotgun, I can blow their fucking legs off. It makes it so much more satisfying. In World at War, I love that shit. Running around with a double barrel shotgun, just blowing people's limbs off, just made it all more satisfying. And this might make me sound a little bit sadistic, but I really do think it adds to the gameplay experience. Another pretty minor point that I'd like to bring up is just general gun design. Now, the Shiva, I mean, that's just unacceptable. That weapon is so hideous and so ugly that it's just an unacceptable gun model. And while I am partially joking about that, it would be nice to get some more gun effects, such as like smoke coming out of the barrel after you just blast some fuckers with your whole mag. And on top of that, maybe even make the barrel red with heat after you empty your whole mag into an enemy. And on the same note of gun design, I'd really like them to bring back more realistic gun sounds. Like, the MR6 just sounds like a piece of shit. Like, it does not sound like a gun. It sounds like a Nerf gun. And that's just, it's disappointing for me. But it's very minor, and it's more of a personal gripe than anything else. Moving back to more realistic improvements, I really think that they should keep what they did in Black Ops 3 in terms of gun balance, and just be constantly updating the guns like they did in Black Ops 3. And what this does is gradually improves the game over time, and it's just very helpful for the lifespan of the game. Game modes are another thing that have to be good to keep people hooked into the game. And obviously, the COD developers know their shit when it comes to certain game modes like Domination, Demolition, Search and Destroy, all these amazing game modes that they've had for years, and definitely don't change those. Keep those the way they are, but I think it'd be nice to have some fresh new game modes, and they attempted this with Safeguard, but in my opinion, it just had some major flaws, and new game modes, for me at least, make the game fresh again, and it keeps me coming back to the game knowing that there's more game modes available for me to play. War is a fantastic example of a game mode that they could bring back, and it would just be amazing to play in a modern Call of Duty. Moving back to Safeguard for a second, I really think that 50 points per kill is completely unacceptable, and it just makes the game mode just bland, and kill streaks are some of the most fun you have in Call of Duty, and it makes for a great gameplay experience, and taking those kill streaks out of a game mode just kind of ruins it. Now, obviously, it is still possible to get kill streaks in Safeguard, it's just extremely difficult. And talking more in depth about the kill streaks really have some of the greatest gameplay experiences in Call of Duty. Calling in an AC-130 or calling in a swarm and completely demolishing the enemy team is so much fun, and every time you call in one of those AC-130s or one of those swarms, you get a thrill, and it's unlike any other game or any other FPS on the market. Now, Call of Duty Ghosts is a prime example of just horrendous kill streaks. With that fucking dog and that fucking IMS, it was just horrible, and the highest kill streak was worse than the 5 kill streak, which is just stupid. It just makes no sense and is completely backwards, and I really think that they should add something like an AC-130 or something like a swarm back into the game, because it will keep it a lot more fresh for especially advanced players that can get those kill streaks, and it's just so much fun to watch and to use. My last point for this video, and it's quite a large one, is an optimized PC version. It's just really disappointing to see that a portion of the community gets cut off because the game isn't well optimized for their platform of choice. And I could probably add a lot more detail to this, but I'm just going to be honest, I haven't really had a lot of experience with PC Call of Duties, and that's really where my knowledge ends about it. It's just usually not well optimized and not well supported as compared to the main 2 consoles. And that's it for my list, at least, on the major or minor improvements that they can make to the next Call of Duty to make it a lot more interesting and a lot more enjoyable. There are definitely more points that could be made about the improvements, but this is just the things that stood out to me. And one thing that I did leave out is the supply drop predicament, and that's just a whole nother beast. I really didn't want to cover in this because tons of people have talked about that in crazy depth, and there's just so many points that can be made about that in specific that I didn't really want to bring it up in this video because it would basically double the length of it. I hope you guys enjoyed my ramblings on the next Call of Duty and what they could do to improve it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.